one of the things, and the next thing I'm going to say is something that I think you do very well, for ladies, and maybe it's me, I don't know, but is give your husband room, like space, because one of the things you do really well is let me sort of figure it out as I go, because I don't always know what is going on or what I'm feeling, and so I have to kind of talk through it and sort of figure it out as I go. This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 148. Listeners, we are so proud of you for making this investment in your relationship. Glad you're joining us today. And Ryan, I have to give a shout out to a couple of special people.
Yeah.
Our mothers.
Yes.
Happy belated birthday to my mother, Nancy. Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah, and happy birthday to my mom. Ironically, they have the same birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mom.
How cool is that?
It's very cool.
I know that, they listen, and we wanted to give that a shout out. So happy birthday to both of our moms.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes it kind of fun for us too, because the same day, July 20th.
That's right.
What are the odds of that? I feel like that's a cool God wink.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Ryan, thank you for writing both shows. We're recording two tonight, and you have had both of these shows kind of spooling in your brain for a while.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, Michelle, interestingly enough, there's one industry that has fascinated me for a long time, and it's the industry of logistics. Right? So logistics is basically the planning, organizing, and execution of the movement and storage of goods, services, or information. Straight from Wikipedia.
That's great.
So, yes, but basically, how do you get something from one place to another? It's so fascinating to me, to think when I order something from Amazon, all of the pieces involved to get it to my front door.
Yeah, I even think about all of the people that it involves. Even if you've ordered something from overseas, we went to Catalina Island once, and I remember seeing these huge cargo ships hauling all these crates. And I think about, man, if I ordered a footstool from Target, and 2 months later it still hadn't arrived, and I was like, where was this footstool coming from? Target, now they source from all these different vendors too. So it was actually coming from overseas, but it got lost, so they had to send a new one. But I just imagine that footstool on a shipping cargo container going across the ocean. And then my late father was a truck driver and would drive trucks all over the country. And I think about then that cargo container getting loaded, at the port onto a semi truck, going across the country, then going to probably a shipping dock or a loading dock, maybe going to a UPS provider or a FedEx, and then going to, all these other trucks going out, and then to your house. And all of these steps, it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Just so you can have your, deodorant overnight or whatever it is you need, right?
Right.
Which is
totally.
crazy. Yeah,
Totally.
I agree, Ryan. It's a fascinating industry. And I think, it's very fascinating. Yeah,
you complete side tangent here, but have you ever seen those videos of those storage tankers and those containers falling off the ship in the middle of the ocean?
Yes.
That is crazy to me.
I always wonder what's in them. What kind of trinkets, or is it cars, or do people go rescue them?
I don't
treasure
think so.
hunters?
I think it's just gone.
This stuff. I mean, that'd be pretty far down into the depths of the ocean.
I think it's just gone, but it's crazy.
So logistics, and are we talking marriage?
Yes, of course, Michelle. So while logistics, they are important. Clearly, it's important, but it's not the whole story. And I'm afraid that a lot of us have turned our relationships, our marriage, into logistics management, right? How do we ensure that Freddie is at band practice at 6? And how do we get Jenny to soccer practice at that same time? And then somewhere along the line, we have to pick up our grocery order. We have to eat dinner. We have to get the kids to bed. We have to clean the house. Then we wake up and we do it all over again.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I think our relationships have become stuck into this loop of logistics. And I just came up with that word, so or that phrase. So again, we've just become so fixated on moving things from one place to another.
Yeah. No, Ryan, that's great. I love that analogy. And I think those things are important, but what starts to happen when that's all that you focus on is your relationship starts to lack in other areas, and all of a sudden you turn into, it's like your own logistics company, like the O'Connor Logistics Company. And that certainly isn't how a relationship should be structured.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. It does become a loop. And that's why I think, like, as I was thinking about this, like, and it's easy to fall into the loop where all you're talking about are those things.
So, Ryan, today what you have for us is how many do you have? 3 things that are missing when you get into that logistics loop, and then ways to break out of that.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you're missing is fun. So if all you ever talk about is, like Ryan said, who's taking this kid to soccer, this kid to band, Ryan, I was kind of smiling, and I'm very sorry, like maybe a young Freddie and a young Jenny, but I feel like your kids are middle-aged. Like, and I didn't change it when I saw those in the notes, because I thought, well, if we use actual like Ava or, I don't know, Asher or whatever, then people would think we're talking about our kids, and these are just made up kids. But that made me smile a little bit. But if all you ever talk about in your relationship is like the logistics of Freddie and Jenny getting to and fro, then you're creating essentially a never-ending to-do list, and you're just focusing your relationship on a series of tasks.
Yeah.
So you're missing your fun. That's the first problem with a loop of logistics.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. I think that's so... It's such a great point, because if all of you're doing is tasks, like, I mean, I think of that.
It's like transactional, like you're running a business.
It's very transactional, and I think part of that is trying to find a way to break out, where you have different conversations, have different, talk about different things that aren't just transactional.
Sure.
I think getting in that idea of dreaming and some of those things, one of the things, like, we've had a lot of guests that have talked about even just like conversation cards. Like, if you're struggling with, okay, this is totally me, all we talk about is these transactions.
Sure. Like if they're in a rut and they're like, they're listening right now and they're like, that is literally all that we talk about is household stuff and kids getting here and there.
Right. Yeah. I think find some, like, go on, as we're talking about logistics, go on Amazon and
order some from China.
and
They'll
order
be here
some
in an hour.
Right.
Which is crazy. It means that all that stuff is just sitting in these warehouses, which I know we have a huge one in Sioux Falls. And
But find things that spark joy, that spark creativity, that spark fun, And I think also with that, stop asking yes or no questions. Like that's something, if you want to break out of logistics, like, start asking different questions.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that's a really important step in it as well.
Ryan, one of the things so is that the second thing then? The second thing is, oh no, you haven't gotten that yet. Yeah, that was just a bonus thing. Yeah. Okay, so stop asking yes or no. I love that. One of the things I do at work is I've stopped asking people if they had a good weekend, because it's just like, first, who's ever going to say no? You're just going to say, yeah. And it's so boring, right? So my key is, what was your favorite part of the weekend? Or what interesting thing did you do this weekend? Or what was the highlight of your weekend? That's usually how it comes out. Is what was the highlight of your weekend? Or did you do anything fun, whatever, last night or such and such? But you can bring those into your relationship. So instead of asking your spouse, did you have a good day? It's like when you ask your kids too, right? Yeah.
Right.
Say, what was the most interesting thing about your day? Or what was a challenge you solved today? Or what was a challenge you had today? Or whatever. Just open that dialogue up. So that's great, Ryan.
One thing that we've started doing in our community, / small group here is asking that question right at the start. What's been a win? What's been something like, good that's happened, you know, a win, and then what's a challenge.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting because I feel like we have such great conversation around those things.
Yeah, it's been a great way for us to get a pulse on people's lives. So if we meet every other week and then we go and do that, it's like, boom, we're connected. And Ryan, that stemmed from what we do in the O'Connor house at dinner. Yeah. We go around and share a high, low, high. We've talked about this many times, but one high every day, one low, end it with a high. So it's kind of that positive sandwich, but that really gets people sharing vulnerable, real things going on in their life. So.
Yeah. And Michelle, that ties perfectly into the next thing here. I think when you're stuck in that loop of logistics, the other thing besides fun that you're missing out on is emotion. Mm-hmm. And logistics is very like where and when is pretty straightforward.
Sure.
Right? So there's not a lot of vulnerability. There's not, a lot of emotion that comes with coordinating pick up and drop off.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. You're right. I mean, I'm laughing because it's kind of funny to think about that. No, you're right. It's very cut and dry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's so, I think it's so important because emotion brings connection. And it's really hard to connect when you're with your spouse, I think on a deeper level, when you're not sharing deeper things.
I think we've said this before, that intimacy is really into me, you see. And Ryan, what emotion brings out is that vulnerability and that opportunity for your spouse to connect with you. So if you're simply transactional, there's really no opportunity to connect with that. So that's great. So you're missing your emotions.
Yeah.
If you're simply lining up the logistics of who's bringing your kids where, who's cooking dinner, who's cleaning the house, who's bringing the car to the shop, who's doing this chore, who's doing that return, there's no emotion to connect to you.
Right.
And that's what brings you back together at the end of the day, and that's what brings you closer to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Michelle, I'm just thinking as we kind of wrap up, this is sort of like a bonus / like piggyback.
The third, I promised people three things.
Three things. And it's, want to close out with maybe a direct cousin of emotion, and that's feeling. If you want to break out of the loop of logistics, your spouse needs to feel safe and they need to feel heard. Those are two very important feelings when it comes to breaking out of that loop. And, so what do I mean by that? Like, there needs to be a safe space to communicate, and where they're not directly shut down, where like, oh, we'll talk about that later, or no, like we need to do the
or we don't talk about that thing. Nope, that just gets shoved down.
Yeah. So I think creating a safe place, and then also they need to feel heard. And feelings are so important because especially those two, I think feeling safe and feeling heard opens up additional dialogue.
Sure.
You can break out of that loop of logistics when you feel safe and you feel heard.
Ryan, what are some ways that you think that we do this well, or that our listeners could start implementing this in their lives?
I think the biggest one is one listening, where I'm not trying to, if you're sharing something with me, I'm really listening, so put away distractions. I'm looking directly at you. Like
active listening.
I'm active listening. I'm acknowledging what you're saying. I'm not formulating a response. I'm not trying to fix whatever is going on. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And
I'm truly listening. I think that is a big, I think that's something that we try to do is, even though like, okay, something's like, oh, you could do this. Like, no, like I just need to listen because I need to pick up on the feeling. I need to pick up on the emotion of it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Thank you for that. The cousin of those emotions is safe listening. Yeah, that's great. Ryan, will you recap? So what are the two downfalls of being on the loop of logistics, and then reiterate that the cousin of the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I think when all you talk about are transactions, like I just use the example of pick up and drop off, right? Or coordinating this or that.
It could be anything, even if you don't have kids. It's just, it's all the life stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just to run a household. And, I threw in the examples of bringing the car to the shop or dinner. It could be anything, right? Just stuff.
I mean, I think one of the things you're missing out on fun. You're missing out on the excitement of what I believe God intends for your spouse to be.
Yeah. Like living life together,
like truly living life to the full. I think that's one thing. I think also you're missing the emotion, you're missing connection, and with that cousin comes feeling, of really feeling safe and heard. Because I mean, I think we can all agree when you feel safe and you feel heard, I think the door's wide open.
Yeah, I agree.
And then conversation can go really deep. And with that comes a deeper connection.
Right. I think that is probably why we, after 15 years, almost 15 years, feel so much closer now, because it's gotten so safe for us to communicate, because I know your intentions, I know your heart, and I know that we can have really deep conversations, and I know that you have my best interests in mind. So I think I totally agree with what you're saying there, that when there's safety and you can have those vulnerable conversations, then you can have that emotion come out, and that helps to break you out of that logistics loop. You need to have fun, and you need to be able to show emotion. And none of those are really present in the logistics industry. So not letting your relationship become just a movement of people and goods and things, but really a connection, growing closer to God and closer to each other. Yeah,
and I think just to just add on a little bit to the feeling part of it, Michelle, I think you're spot on with what you said. But two things, and I'm gonna maybe point to each spouse here.
Okay.
One, I think for men, like listening is really probably undervalued. Like it is such a key component to this, to breaking out of that, is really truly listening. Like, stop trying to fix. Like, you need to be heard. Like, you need to feel heard. And I think the key to that is listening.
We've shared examples of that where, I've been sharing something and you'll jump in to fix. And that's, that's not what I need at all.
Right.
Like, I actually don't even want your solution. I just want you to know that you're empathizing with me and feeling the weight of whatever I'm processing or going through. And that in itself is really powerful. And that feels like a solution. Just you listening. Sometimes it's like, I'll share something. I'll be like, okay, I feel better now, just having had you really actively listening.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So that's a tip for the guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're just so good at that, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things, and the next thing I'm going to say is something that I think you do very well, for ladies, and maybe it's me, I don't know, but is give your husband room, like space, because one of the things you do really well is let me sort of figure it out as I go, because I don't always know what is going on or what I'm feeling. And so I have to kind of talk through it and sort of figure it out as I go. And you've done a really great job of just giving me space to articulate what's going on in my brain and what feeling that's creating.
Sure.
And, I think sometimes it might be easy to be just like, spit it out already, like whatever, like, but I think it's important to give room for because a lot of men don't always know. And it sort of takes, I've used an analogy before. You got to circle the plane a few times to try to figure out what it is.
I think you don't necessarily know that feeling right away. And so for you, it's giving you that time to process so you can kind of identify. And I think that's what you're referring to here, is just that time and space, and if it's verbally or just time for you to kind of let the gears in your head turn and be like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. But because that's not something that like men typically talk about a lot, it's kind of like a muscle you have to work too. Like, oh yeah, this is what I'm feeling right now, or this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. Yeah, great bonus advice there, Ryan.
Yep.
Ryan, thanks for writing the show today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You came up with a non-mystery question for us because you know what it is, but do you want to read it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can Patrick still play the song?
I think so.
Play the song, Patrick.
Play it. All right, Michelle, mystery question / non-mystery question that I created. If you could see the inner workings of any business or industry, what would it be?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think what industries seem like a mystery to me. I mean, I do think the logistics industry is super fascinating. I think it'd be really interesting to get a tour of Amazon and to see all of the technology they have in place for their, overnight deliveries, and how do they determine, like, I noticed on some products, even how they run their offers. So, if you add this and it's, same day or overnight, but then how do they determine that? Because sometimes you'll get 5 packages. So they clearly are shipping from all these nearby warehouses. But I think that logistics part, especially for a big company like Amazon that has all of these warehouses and delivery vehicles, I think that'd be interesting. So I think that'd be cool. What about you?
Okay. I've thought a lot about this.
Or the food industry, but I probably would not want to eat anything additional.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like fast food industry.
Yes. Okay. Mine is sort of an interesting, but airports.
Oh.
And in particular, baggage handling.
Okay. Yeah, that's like logistic related.
Yeah. Okay. 2 sides of this.
Okay.
More, I want to see the inner workings of when it goes like into the airport.
Like out of public view?
Yes. Because I've seen what happens in public view and it's sort of frightening to me.
Have you guys ever seen a guitar case thrown before?
Yes.
I was like, there's no shadow of a doubt what's in that case, and they just chucked it.
Yeah,
that legit is a guitar getting chucked right now. I can't watch this.
Or you see them falling off the cart, and then like they chuck them back on the cart.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Don't watch. Just don't watch.
No, but like once it enters the airport, so like they chuck it off the plane that you're on. And you're going to a different flight.
Right, running to the airport, hoping your baggage gets there too.
How does it get from here to there?
Well, don't they have little carts outside with those, like the doors that pull down on the side and they load them up? Is it just all people? Or are you saying there's like technology too?
Oh, there has to be, because you have like all these bags.
Right.
And everyone's going to a different place. Mm-hmm. And so how does each bag get to its own separate gate and then shucked on a new plane?
That's a great question, because usually you don't see 20 carts loading up to unload a plane. That's a great question.
Right. So
I would like to know that too.
Yeah,
Tell us.
That's my great mystery. If somebody knows, let us know. But
I would like to know that.
It's a mystery that I'd like to know the answer to.
Yeah, that's a great response. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the Celebrate MarriageCast. We hope that this has inspired you to break out of the loop of logistics in your marriage and to bring back the fun and the emotion and also safe conversations to fuel that emotional connection. We want you to know that we have resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. We also would love to have you at Celebrate. You can find that information at Celebrate.church. Have a great week.
Have a great week.